Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell, and in this video we're going to look at different management strategies that businesses can implement when responding to key performance indicator data. So just think back to Unit 4 Outcome 1, the previous outcome that we covered. We learned that businesses will often review their performance by using key performance indicators. Now what we're going to do in this video is look at, well, once they've gathered that data, what management strategies could they possibly implement to try and improve that data? And so there's a number of different strategies that businesses could use, and I've just got a list of some here. So things like the business may look to implement staff training. They might look to motivate their employees. They may decide to change management styles or the management skills that are used within the business. They might increase their investment in technology, or it could be that there's been a number of customer complaints, so they look to improve the quality in production, reduce costs, or maybe they want to improve their level of wastage, and so they initiate lean production techniques. So all those strategies we've covered before in previous areas of the course, whether that be Unit 3 or Unit 4. The one we haven't covered that I've got listed there is redeployment of resources, and we'll make sure we cover that one in this particular video. So they're just a list of some of the strategies that businesses can use. The important thing to note though is that these strategies are listed in the study design, so you must know these ones specifically. And as I said, other than redeployment of resources, all of these strategies we've covered before in previous areas of the course. The key to this section is being able to link them, how they will improve different KPI data. That's the important factor here. So rather than just looking at these particular strategies in isolation, you need to be able to link them in terms of how they can be used to respond to different key performance indicators. Now, as I mentioned, these are the particular strategies you must know because they are listed in the study design, but this is not an exhaustive list of management strategies that can be implemented. So for example, a business may have a low number of sales, and they may look to increase their number of sales or market share, and they might introduce a new advertising campaign, or they may look to innovate. It could be that a business has high costs, so they look to restructure their particular business and shut down areas of the business that aren't performing well, or they may even change their pricing strategy to look to be more competitive in certain areas. So there's a number of different strategies that businesses can use, and again, that's not an exhaustive list, but it's really important that you know all the specific strategies listed on the previous slide and that you can link them to how they can improve or respond to different key performance indicators. Now what we're going to do is go through each of the particular management strategies that are listed in our study design, and then we're going to look at the possible impacts that they can have on different key performance indicators. Now I just want to say that the key performance indicators that we look at are not exhaustive. You could definitely argue that the particular strategy will impact or respond to a different KPI that's not listed on these different PowerPoints, so that's fine to use. It's just going to depend on the scenario you're given in the questions that you've been asked to do. So for example, the first one, staff training, is the process of improving an employee's skills and knowledge and even their abilities so that they can perform better in their job, and that is going to impact on the KPIs, including things like improved productivity, because if the employees are more skillful, they're able to work quicker and with less errors. Also improve sales if it's sales training that's being conducted, possibly less workplace accidents because the employees are better at their job and making less errors, and possibly even decrease staff absenteeism and staff turnover, because we know that training is a motivation factor for employees. Staff motivation. Motivated employees will often work harder towards the achievement of the business objectives. So we can look at improved productivity growth, lowered staff absenteeism and staff turnover rates. Again, because that can be, employees are happier to be at work, so they want to be within the workplace and turning up to work. Reduce customer complaints if the employees are motivated. Again, you could probably argue different KPIs there, but they're just some examples. The next one listed in our study design is the change in management styles and the management skills. So management styles and skills can influence the performance of a business and its culture. So just as a refresher, on the left there's the management styles that we went through earlier in the course, and again the management skills that are listed in our study design. So just as a refresher there. Now let's give an example here on how this could possibly impact different KPIs. It could be that the level of staff turnover has been increasing over a number of years, and maybe the business, during doing exit interviews, finds that the level of staff turnover, many employees are actually leaving the business because of the type of management style. So they're not it's an autocratic management style, and the employees feel that they're not really getting a say in decision making, and so they're deciding to leave. So they're not happy, and the business may then decide, well, we need to change the different management styles and skills that we use to try and make our employees happier so we can reduce our staff turnover. And so it could be that they decide on a participative management style. They try and implement more interpersonal skills so there's better relationships between the management and the employees, and also two-way communication so that the employees are getting a say in decision making. And possibly that could help improve, by changing the management styles and the management skills, that could possibly improve the level of staff turnover, for example. Next, we have an increased investment in technology. So technology can be used in a number of ways to improve a business in all different areas of the business. And again, these are just examples here because it really depends on the technology that the business is looking to implement, and they could implement it to improve a number of different areas in the business. But just as some examples, so improving the productivity growth, especially if there's technology implemented into the operation system. It could reduce the level of wastage because some machines might be more accurate and consistent, and it could also increase net profit by reducing the ongoing operating costs. So they're just some examples. Again, there could be more examples that you could come up with there. So just try and be logical with that one. The next management strategy is improving quality of production. So improving the quality of production improves the quality of the end good or service that reaches the consumer. Now just think back to Unit 3 where we looked at 3 different quality strategies. They were quality control, quality assurance, and total quality management. So just think implementing any or multiple of those particular strategies is going to improve the end quality of the product. And so what KPIs could that respond to if there was a poor market share? Well, this could increase the percentage of market share or increase the number of sales because consumers or the product is more in demand because it's of higher quality. It may be that it reduces the number of customer complaints if there's been poor quality and customer complaints on poor quality in the past, or it could even reduce the level of wastage because there's less materials, less finished goods that are made in error that are going to waste because the quality of production has improved. Next, we're going to look at cost cutting. So businesses will often look to reduce costs, but they want to do so without having a significant impact on the overall value to consumers. Now, every activity within a business performs comes at a cost, and so businesses will look at all activities to see where the costs can be saved. Now that could be in response to poor net profit figures. So it could be that by reducing costs or cutting costs that they can increase net profit. Reducing wastage if they're able to cut costs by reducing the amount of wastage that they have been receiving. That could improve productivity growth if there's less money being spent in production, and also increasing sales if that cost savings is passed on to the consumers. They are some positives that can come out of cost cutting. Now, during operations, we looked at lean management or lean production, and so another strategy that businesses can implement is initiating lean production techniques. So just a reminder that it's about minimizing the waste produced in a business while improving the value to the end consumer. So if it's about minimizing waste, well, that could be in response to, they may implement it in response to high level of wastage. So therefore, it's going to reduce the level of wastage that a business has, which could then lead to increased net profits. It may be, well, if there's less wastage throughout the business or throughout the production process, that it's improving the productivity growth of the business. And again, it could increase the sales and market share because lean production is about, yes, minimizing waste, but ensuring that end value to the consumer is increased. Now, the final strategy listed in our study design in this area is the redeployment of resources. Now, redeployment is the transfer of resources from one place in the business to another, which allows a business to make better use of their resources. So what happens is that if a business has particular resources that aren't being used very well in one area of the business, they may decide to move them for where they're in demand so they can be utilized in a more effective manner. So there are 3 types of resources that can be redeployed, and it's important that we know all these 3 because these 3 resources are specifically listed in our study design. So the first one is human resources, which is the people within the business. Now, the business can decide to move the people around to make better use of them. So let's say, for example, that there's one area of the business that isn't performing well. And so the business decides to shut that particular area down, whether it be a particular product or a particular function that's not working very well. And so the business decides to shut that down. But then they've got these employees. But it may be that there's another area of the business that is greatly expanding. You know, there's a new product and it's expanding rapidly and they need more people. So what they may do is redeploy those human resources, so those employees, and take them from the area that isn't performing well, that's shutting down, and put them into the area that is expanding and growing rapidly. And therefore, they're making better use of their human resources. Similar thing with their natural resources. So moving their raw materials to areas of the business so they can make better use of their particular materials. And again, with their capital resources, some examples there is the machinery and equipment. So if there's machinery and equipment in, say one factory, it's not being used, they may decide to move that to another area of the business that can really use that machinery and equipment. So it's not just sitting there idle and not being effective in terms of being productive. So the impact that they can have on or be in response to could be poor productivity. So this, redeployment of resources can really improve productivity growth. It can reduce staff turnover. I say that because if there's employees that are in a poor area of the business and they're not happy because they're not doing much, they may then move to a more vibrant area, and really the business is getting the best out of the employees, which can help motivate the employees. And also it can improve the level of wastage by using or moving around, redeploying, I should say, the raw materials and the machinery and equipment. It can reduce the level of wastage. So just to recap, businesses look to implement management strategies to respond to KPI data, and the strategies that they can use include all the ones that we went through in this particular video. And it's important that you know every single one of those and how they can respond to KPI data, because they are listed specifically in our study design. So for questions, activities and more, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.